your opening statement.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I too want to thank each and every one of you for allowing the candidates here today for Division F, 16th Judicial District Court to give our presentations to you. I know everyone has busy schedules. Again, taking your time out to have us voice each and every one of our platforms is important to you and obviously to your viewing public. I'm Keith Thibodeau again. I'm running for the 16th Judicial District Court Division F judgeship. The 16th is composed of the parishes of St. Martin, Iberia, and St. Mary. Unlike what most people may believe, the judges within this particular district actually travel and hear cases in each one of the particular parishes. A judge may hear a case one day today over in St. Mary Parish, tomorrow he or she may be over in Iberia and St. Martin. Very importantly, I think in any candidacy for judge, obviously experience is important. I come to you with 30 years of experience, not only the length of experience, but the breadth of my experience. I was fortunate enough to have been recommended by the late Judge Robert Buddy Fleming to an attorney over in St. Martin Parish some 30 years ago. The advice I was given by Mr. Burt Willis, the attorney who interviewed me, was that, as he called me for whatever reason, the nickname Chief, he said it's important, this building has been here since 1932. It's important that you understand when we take on clients, if we believe they have a fighting chance, we will represent them diligently no matter what the area of law may be. Fast forward 30 years, that is what I have done. For the past 30 years, I've represented clients from all walks of life and very importantly in all areas of the law. Whether that be civil, whether that be criminal, I have fortunately been able to affect the lives of many people. As your judge, you must also not only be experienced, but obviously come from a viewpoint that you view each and everyone as your equal in the courtroom. I have never served in political office. I'm not a politician, I'm not a prosecutor. Just as I have served the people as their attorney for the past 30 years, I want to serve you, the people of the 16th Judicial District Court, as your judge, the people's judge. My experience, my life experiences, and again, my ability to handle all matters that come before me is important. I think that is an important consideration for each and every one of you. I offer that experience, and I ask humbly for your vote and support come again November 3rd. Please keep in mind, a litigant must be able to receive fair justice. I am there for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. And we have, for COVID measures, we do have hand sanitizer, wipes, to wipe down the microphones. So we'll give each candidate time to do that. Next, Mr. Salimi, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Tiger. My name is Anthony Tony Salimi. I'm from Morgan City, Louisiana. I live there with my wife, Shelley, and my 4 kids, Anthony, Sophia, Franco, and Stella. We're all parishioners of Holy Cross Catholic Church in Morgan City, where we're all engaged in lay ministry there. I'm a member of several organizations here in St. Mary Parish, including the Rotary Club of Franklin. I am a 3rd-degree knight with Council 1710 Knights of Columbus in Patterson. I'm a member of the NRA, Ducks Unlimited. I'm also a board member with the Community Action Agency of St. Mary Parish and Vermilion Parish. I've been an attorney these last 26 years, graduating from Loyola University New Orleans College of Law in 1994. Upon graduating and passing the bar, I served as a law clerk for Division C of the 16th Judicial District Court for the late Edward A. Delahousie III and District Judge John Connery. After that, I worked for a law practice in Morgan City with Nicholas F. LaRocca and Associates for a few years, doing a general civil practice where I did a little bit of everything. Then in 1997, I had an opportunity to go work for the district attorney's office in St. Martin Parish. Even though it meant that I would have to drive over an hour each way, I took that opportunity, and it's been the best move that I've made. I've been with the district attorney's office now for the last 23 years. For the first 7 years, I worked in St. Martinville. Since 2004, I've worked here in St. Mary Parish. I've handled every kind of case while with the district attorney's office, from the lowest of misdemeanors all the way up to first-degree murder. For the last 7 years, I've acted as the supervisor or chief prosecutor in our St. Mary Parish office. In that time, I've amassed a great deal of experience in the courtroom and in trials. In that time, I've tried over 200 bench trials, both felony and misdemeanor cases, as well as over 40 jury trials. I think that experience is important. I think that courtroom and trial experience is important. In law school, they teach us, they teach a lot of theory, they teach a lot of case law, statutory law, how to write and make legal arguments. They don't teach you what to do in the courtroom. Courtroom and trial experience, I think, are what's going to be at issue in this race. I think that if you examine all of our backgrounds and our experience, and you look to see who's the most qualified candidate, I think that's who you need to vote for. I ask you to consider me, Anthony Tony Salimi, candidate for District Court Judge, Division F. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salimi. We'll give you a second to wipe that off for Ms. Broussard. All right. Ms. Broussard, 3 minutes for your opening statement, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce for giving us this opportunity to come and introduce myself and tell everyone a little bit more about me. I'd like to thank everyone who came and everybody who's watching digitally for paying attention and watching. My name is Natalie Broussard. I'm running for District Judge in Division F. I've married my high school sweetheart, Barry, and we've been married for almost 30 years. Together we have 4 children. I graduated from LSU with a Bachelor of Criminal Justice and then earned my law degree from LSU as well. After earning my law degree in 1994, I returned to the 16th Judicial District and opened a general practice law office in New Iberia, where I've handled both civil and criminal cases over the years. I've had extensive courtroom experience in both civil and criminal law, handling hundreds of cases, including judge trials and jury trials. But I believe that being a judge is about serving the people who elect you. And I've been serving my community since I was a child, starting with assisting my parents in working flood disasters with the American Red Cross. And I continued that into my adulthood, where I've served on the board of directors for the United Way. I've served on the board of directors for CASA, served on the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Commission on Law Enforcement. I've served on the New Iberia Charter Commission, Community Emergency Response Team, and many other nonprofits. I've also been very active in my church, Highland Baptist Christian Church, Church, where I've taught Sunday school and served on many boards. I've also been very active in a program that they have with the ABRO program. I've been involved with that for over 10 years. That's a program where we get children from Belarus that were victims of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster and bring them here for 6 weeks to just simply give them food that's not contaminated, breathe fresh air, and to give them medical care. It's believed by scientists that for every 6 weeks that they're out of the environment, that it expands their life by 4 to 6 years. So I've been hosting a child since 2006 and coordinating that program for over 10 years. But now I'm ready to serve the residents of the 16th Judicial District as your next district judge. I'm ready to bring my energy, my passion, my experience, and my leadership to the bench and be your next district judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Broussard. All right, now we will begin with our question and answer division. So for tonight's forum, we had questions that were submitted to the Chamber of Commerce beforehand, and each of those questions were provided to each candidate. So we will randomly pick those questions. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond. So the first question goes to Mr. Thibodeau, and we will keep the same question for everyone. All right. Mr. Thibodeau, what is one quality you have that is most needed to serve as judge? 1.5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Over the past, again, 30 years of my experience, I've learned that people who are coming into a courtroom are often very frazzled, to say the least. They need a person who they can count on to listen to them. My 30 years has taught me to listen, not only hear what you may say as a litigant in a courtroom, but again, to listen. It is very important in order to reach a decision which renders justice to the litigants. That decision must be based upon the evidence, the facts, and the law. A person who does not have the ability and that has not the experience to have listened to clients in all walks of life, whether that be child support cases, whether that be child custody cases, whether that be criminal cases, each and every litigant deserves a right to be heard. They are there for their one chance at justice. Their lives, their property, their families, lives are at stake, property is at stake. A judge must listen. I have that ability. I want you to know that each and every case that comes before me is important. I will listen to you. The reason that justice is served is because a judge can and does listen and presents his or her reasons and decisions based upon what he or she has heard. That should be in every case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Salimi, same question, 1.5 minutes. What is one quality you have that is most needed to serve as judge?
I think that the quality that's most needed to serve as judge is fairness. And I think, coming from the district attorney's office as a prosecutor, I think I'm uniquely qualified with that quality. Both of my opponents have made a point to say that they're not career prosecutors. I would like to point out, though, that when my opponents represent clients, they represent one person, a business or an entity, and they represent that interest. And whether that interest is counter to the community or good for the community, they represent that client, and that's who their duty is to. As a prosecutor, we represent the general public. Every time we step into the courtroom, we represent the state of Louisiana, and in particular, the people of the 16th Judicial District. Our duty is not to get convictions, our duty is to seek justice. And that's not something that's just written on a wall for good measure. That's what's listed in the ABA model rules for prosecutors. So justice may be, in some cases, seeking a conviction and getting jail time. In some cases, it may be looking for an alternative to jail, like drug court, probation with mental health counseling, some other kind of substance abuse, addressing substance abuse issues. And in some cases, if the facts and the law call for it, it means not taking any action because the conduct was not criminal. We do that every time we screen a case. We make judgments as to fairness, and I think that makes us makes prosecutors uniquely qualified in that respect.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salimi. Ms. Broussard, same question, 1.5 minutes. What is one quality you have that is most needed to serve as judge?
I think one of the qualities that I have that's most needed to serve as judge is that I'm a good communicator. And I think communication is a two-way street. It's not just about talking, it's about listening as well. People need and deserve to be heard. Over the last 25 years plus of practice in both civil and criminal law, I've had the opportunity to listen to people and hear all different perspectives. You have to be able to see and hear all sides of a case, and not just see things through tunnel vision. The fact that I've represented so many different cases in both civil and criminal, I think it gives me the unique ability to be able to see all sides of a case and see the different perspectives. I also believe that just about any issue can be resolved through communication. And as your next district judge, I intend on making sure that I listen to the people that come before me, that I encourage communication between the parties, and that I'll make sure that they know why I'm ruling the way I'm ruling. There won't be anybody that's walking out of my courtroom feeling like, what in the world was she thinking? They will walk out of my courtroom knowing that they've been heard and knowing why I ruled the way I ruled.
Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Coming up for our second question, we will start with Mr. Salimi. Again, we will have a minute and a half. What do you believe needs to be overhauled, addressed, or considered for corrections when defending cases within the 16th JDC? So we can do the two-part question or the same. What do you believe needs to be overhauled, addressed, or considered for corrections when defending or prosecuting cases in the 16th JDC? So we'll put both of those questions together. So
For a minute and a half.
for a minute and a half, yes.
I'll stick with the original question,
Okay.
Tiger, on defending cases. From my observations in my time working with the district attorney's office, I think what needs to occur is there needs to be better communication encouraged between the defendants and their attorneys, whether the attorneys are appointed public defenders or retained counsel. For incarcerated defendants, it's going to require some cooperation from the holding facilities to have a regular time for attorneys to visit, and then for the attorneys to have to cooperate as well to go out and see their clients who are not going to be in a position to track them down. For the clients that are at liberty, a requirement from the court that they have to attend a set appointment with their attorney, that they have to go and meet with that attorney, because many times in prosecuting cases, we set matters for trial, we get to court, and we have the attorney tell us, Judge, I'm basically talking to this person for just the second time, and they haven't made their appointment. I'm really unprepared, and it's not the attorney's fault because he can't be prepared, not having had an opportunity to meet with his client. I think that would help a long way towards moving cases faster, because you can't ask somebody to trust their lawyer after the first or second time to meet him to either plead guilty or go to trial.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salimi. Next, we will go to Ms. Broussard. And for a minute and a half, what do you believe needs to be overhauled, addressed, or considered for corrections when defending or prosecuting cases in the 16th JDC?
I think our current criminal justice system is very inefficient and robotic. I think people's time needs to be respected a lot more. Right now, you have cases that could take years to go through the system. And during this period of time, you have defendants that are coming to court month after month after month after month, most of the time just getting served with a piece of paper telling them to come back to court another day. This is not justice to the victims, it's not justice to the accused, and it's not justice to the employers that are trying to run efficient businesses and their employees have to keep missing work time and time again. I think, we need prosecutors that have better discernment over what individuals need help and be put back on track versus those that are a risk to society and need to be removed from society. I think we need to give them some tools to help them with that. And what I'd like to see us start is a mental health court in the 16th Judicial District. Mental health courts have the goal of improving public safety by limiting the recurring crimes that are committed by mentally ill patients. It encourages treatment for mentally ill patients, and it reduces court costs and prison costs for mentally ill patients that are in jail. We don't need all of these mentally ill patients in jail. So I think if we give more tools, then that would be a great overhaul for our system.
All right, thank you, Ms. Broussard. Pass the mic down. Mr. Thibodeau, a minute and a half. Same question. What do you believe needs to be overhauled, addressed, or considered for corrections when defending or prosecuting cases in the 16th JDC?
I know for beyond a doubt that our criminal system, the backlog of the docket or the schedule for criminal cases to be heard, the backlog is such to the degree that justice cannot be obtained now. Justice not only for the particular criminal defendant who has been charged, but for the victims out there. It doesn't make any sense that we continue to postpone and delay matters. What we need to do is what we have already begun, but to do so with diligence, with force. That is, different particular criminal behavior deserves different treatment. When a serious criminal offense, a victim's offense has occurred, we need to seek proper jail time, proper punishment for that individual. Too often, however, that is the only solution which backlogs not only the prosecutors, but the defendant counsels also. I think we need to, in those areas where we have victimless crime, for example, those that need desperately drug rehabilitation, perhaps even educational, furthering their education. We need to look to judges who will, together with the prosecutors and defendants, sentence where appropriate, whether that be jail time or rehabilitation. That will relieve our docket. That will serve justice for not only, again, the victims, but for the defendants themselves.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. All right, next we're going to start with Ms. Broussard. So the third question, what reforms do you support to increase access to justice for all? So again, what reforms do you support to increase access to justice for all? Minute and a half.
Access to justice for all is about those that need the opportunity for justice being able to get to it regardless of their financial abilities. I've seen time and time again how this negatively impacts people, especially like when you see a grandparent that may have lost their child and now they're having to raise their grandchildren. They're dealing with the loss of their child, they're dealing with the financial impact of raising their grandchildren, and now they have to get access to justice just to be able to enroll their grandchildren in school or even get medical care for them. I think, the 16th Judicial District can and must do better. We can do something as simple as what our neighbors in the 15th Judicial District has done, where they make forms available and they have volunteer lawyers present once a week to help you fill out the forms, to give you legal advice, and to help you maneuver through the system. I think another method that might take a little bit more work would be using specialized paralegals, and I would kind of equate that to what the medical field has done with nurse practitioners, where you're working under an attorney, but you're a specialized paralegal that's helping people have access to justice that's not as efficient, not as costly, and could be a lot more efficient for those individuals that need that help.
All right, thank you, Ms. Broussard. The next question will go to Mr. Salini. And that will be the same question. What reforms do you support to increase access to justice for all?
One of the biggest problems I see also is a lack of access to competent legal representation, affordable competent legal representation, and a perceived lack of access to the court system as a whole. I think one of the few low or free attorney referral systems we have is Acadiana Legal Services in Lafayette. The backlog of their cases is terribly long, and they're not able to help everybody who is asking for their services. I think one of the first things we can do is educate the public that there are alternatives to district court. There are local justice of the peace courts. There are your city courts that we have at least two in each of the parishes in our district, and I think that those afford cheaper or less expensive costs to initiate litigation or to take care of your problem, and sometimes they can be handled without the necessity of an attorney. Now, for more complex matters, and there are some matters that just require being in the district court, you're going to need an attorney there. I think if we had some, from the bench, if we had some prompting and some incentivization, that maybe we get more of a pro bono project here in the 16th, where attorneys gave more of their time to assist the needy and people who need legal services but don't have the money to afford.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salini. Next, Mr. Thibodeau, same question. What reforms do you support to increase access to justice for all? Minute and a half.
Well, certainly in order to receive justice in any particular matter, whether that be a civil or criminal proceeding, one must one day get into a hearing or obviously trial to get a judge's decision upon the merits of each and every particular case. That is, to me, the most crucial thing. How do we get cases sped through the process in order to, again, get a judge's decision to resolve the particular matter and move on? In our civil system, we have had for years, I've participated in what is called a hearing officer conference system in civil cases. Unfortunately, the only area in civil cases is family law cases. The hearing officer system allows an attorney, licensed of course to practice, hired by our local judges, to hear matters in order to resolve those disputes that need to be resolved, and if they're not resolved completely, at least to resolve most of the issues. That is, I have seen in my practice in 30 years that is a very, very efficient way to clear cases. I submit we use that system to, again, hear all civil matters, not just simply family law matters. Within the criminal system, we need to enforce more of what a judge is able to do. That is to schedule and actually conduct scheduling conferences, where, as in a hearing officer conference, the parties are able to resolve their issues efficiently without clogging the system.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. And you can hold on to the mic because you will be first in our next question. All right. So a minute and a half. How will you work to ensure equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom? And I'll read the question again. How will you work to ensure equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom? Minute and a half.
Fortunately, again, over the past 30 years, I've been able to represent people of all walks of life. I may represent a doctor today, and tomorrow I may represent an auto mechanic. I have never, in my 30 years, looked at a particular matter as being unimportant. If it's important enough for a litigant to reach the courtroom, he or she should be able to rely on an efficient system. Equal justice for all has always been. I do not see any particular person and their case serve merit because of their color, because of their creed, because of their walk of life, because of their station in life. All litigants deserve justice. Justice is nothing more than receiving, not perhaps what you want in a court system, but what you deserve from the evidence presented to the court. That equal justice can and must be, every particular case is important. You deserve that one opportunity to resolve your matter. A judge should be open. A judge should be very hardworking, of a work ethic which allows he or she to hear cases expeditiously, and when we better resolve issues, not only can we resolve that particular matter, but guess what? We can free up our docket or schedule to continue and hear other matters. My hard work ethic will allow me to do that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Salimi, you're next. Again, same question. How will you work to ensure equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom?
Justice is blind. The expression means that justice should be impartial and objective. The statue of Lady Justice often depicts her wearing a blindfold. because justice should not treat its friends any differently than strangers. Justice should not treat the rich any better than the poor. Justice should not treat persons that look like justice any different than people that don't look like justice. A judge has to keep an open mind and be objective and impartial on the cases they hear. Nothing can cause a loss of faith in the judicial system more than when a litigant thinks that the outcome was predetermined, that their voice wasn't heard, or that they didn't get their day in court. When I handle prosecutions, I don't pick my clients. I don't pick my victims. I don't pick my defendants. I take them as they come, and I treat them all the same. No one gets better treatment as a victim because of their race, their religion, or where they're from. Just like no defendant gets worse treatment for those same reasons.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salimi. Ms. Broussard, same question, minute and a half. How will you work to ensure equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom?
I think it's all about respect, and I think it's about understanding that we're one and the same. I'm just like you. I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a small business owner, I pay taxes, I go to work every day, I pay insurances. I have the same trials and tribulations that each of you deal with every day. No one is more important than the next. You know, I like to tell a story about several years ago, a school teacher came into my office, and after the consultation, she said, "You're not at all what I expected." And I explained to her that my opinion of people is that it takes each and every one of us to make this world go round. I don't believe that any one person or any one job is more important than the next. If she wasn't at school teaching my children, I couldn't do my job. If the garbage man wasn't out picking up my trash, I couldn't do my job. If the store clerk wasn't stocking the grocery shelves, I couldn't do my job. We need each and every one of us to make the world go round. So regardless of your background, you're important. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, black or white, Asian, Caucasian, or Cajun, you're important. And I'm going to take that attitude into the courtroom, and you'll be treated the same in my courtroom.
All right, thank you, Ms. Broussard. Mr. Salimi, you will be first on this next set of questions. What qualifies you to be a judge beyond a law degree? Minute and a half. So what qualifies you to be a judge beyond a law degree?
Tiger, I think three things qualify me to be a judge. When you're in front of a judge, you want your judge to be fair, honest, and know what they're doing. As I explained earlier, as assistant district attorneys and prosecutors, we screen cases and we seek justice. So we know how to deal with fairness. As for honesty, over the 26 years that I've practiced law, I developed a reputation for being honest and for integrity. You can ask not only the people that I work with in the court system, but I encourage you to ask any defense lawyers that I've worked against. They'll tell you that in the courtroom I'm an adversary, but that they know that they can trust what I say, and I stand by it. You also need experience. It's important that the next judge for Division F knows what they're doing, that they know how to impanel a jury, that they know how to impanel a grand jury, that they know how to deal with these things, because you have to know how to deal with them in the first place to make the adjustments, to consider the environment that we're living in now, where at the time we can only put, just now since we've moved into phase 3, we can now put 42 people in the big courtroom. Normally our juries, we summon 175 people and get anywhere between 60 and 80. You have to be able to know what you're doing to make the adjustments to account for the environment we're living in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salimi. Mr. Thibodeau, same question, minute and a half. What qualifies you to be a judge beyond a law degree?
If one thing I've learned throughout my legal career is that the normal person coming into the courtroom is bewildered, to say the least. That is, a person who doesn't understand the system, doesn't understand what is it, what is expected of me, what should I do, what should I not do. I believe a person such as myself who has handled the breadth of cases, whether that be, again, domestic, family law disputes, business disputes, estate disputes, you have to have a background that allows you to have dealt with each and every one of these particular issues. We have done so. Every case is important. Every person's livelihood, every person's freedom is dependent upon a judge who will use his or her experience and his life knowledge to be able to render a fair decision. I have that background. I am a man of faith. I am happily married to my wife of 37 years. We have 4 beautiful children and 2 grandchildren. They are what I look up to each and every morning. I believe you, as a litigant in a court system, should look up to your judge and know that you will be treated fairly with experience that serves them and the court system. I am that person.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. We'll bring that mic down to Ms. Broussard. And same question, ma'am. What qualifies you to be a judge beyond a law degree?
I think what qualifies me to be a judge beyond my law degree is my experience and my independence. When a judge gets sworn in, they hit the ground running. They have no time to learn a new segment of law that they may not be familiar with. In our case, in Division F, we start January 5th is our first court date, and that's felony motions. The very next day, on January 6th, which happens to be my birthday, we'll be hearing civil rules. So on our very second day on the job, we may be determining whether evidence should be included or excluded in a murder trial, and the next day we might be deciding on child custody, visitation, or support issues. It's imperative that a judge is elected that has the right kind of experience. I have extensive courtroom experience in both criminal and civil law. I have handled hundreds of trials, both jury and judges. I am the most qualified candidate in this race. But beyond the experience is my independence. I think we need a judge that does not have any political alliances, doesn't owe any political favors, and isn't influenced by any outside influences. I don't have any political alliances. I don't owe any political favors. And in my courtroom, you can trust that I'm going to be independent and I'm going to make decisions based on the law and the facts and the evidence that's presented to me, and not through any political pressure.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Broussard, you could actually hold on to that microphone. That's going to end the question section for us, and we will now move into our closing statements. So I'm pretty sure each of you have given closing statements many times before, but we're going to cap these at 3 minutes. So, Ms. Broussard, you have 3 minutes to summarize your candidacy.
All right, I think this election is all about experience and independence. I urge the voters to look at each of the candidates' experience and independence when you're electing who your next district judge is going to be. You deserve and you need a judge that has both. The judge is going to hit the ground running, as I said. You need a judge that has both criminal and civil law experience. You need a judge that has a history of serving their community. And you need a judge that has a proven record of being independent from political pressures. I am that candidate. I have extensive courtroom experience in both civil and criminal cases. I have a history of serving my community. It's real easy to say that you're a public servant when you're doing your job. But what's most important is, what are you doing on your time off? What are you doing when you're volunteering? I have that experience. My volunteer work to my community started long before I decided to run for this campaign, and my volunteer record is unmatched. I'm the only candidate in this election who is or has been an elected official. I understand what it means to balance being independent and being an elected official. I've had to make those hard calls. I've had to make the decisions that may not have been politically popular, but it was what was best for what was served, for the people that I served. As your next district judge, you know that I can hit the ground running. I can guarantee you that I'm going to stand up to the political pressures. I've done it before. I'm not going to make decisions that are based on political alliances. I'm going to make decisions that's best for you, the people that I'm serving, that are before me in my courtroom. I believe that people matter more than politics, and I'm asking for your support, I'm asking for your prayers, and I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd, or if you early vote, on October 16th through the 27th. My name is Natalie Broussard. I'm number 75 on the docket. Thank you all for your time and attention tonight, and God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Mr. Cellini, you have 3 minutes to summarize your candidacy.
Thank you. I think one thing that Ms. Broussard and I agree on is that this race comes down to experience. My name is Anthony Salimi, and I'm a candidate for District Court Judge here in Division F. This is the first time that I've ever run for public office before. I'm not a regular candidate for public office. So I may not be as smooth a talker as some of the other people up here. But I'm here to tell you that in my 23 years at the District Attorney's Office, I have served the people of this district. I have been here, I consider myself a public servant. And I guess I take umbrage with the comment that it's easy to say that you're doing public service when you're just doing your job. Of course, the public servants that I think of first are not people like myself, they're people like firemen, police officers, and emergency medical technicians who have chosen a vocation or career of serving the public. And yes, they could probably make more money doing something else, but they love what they do, and they do it for that reason. And that is public service, even though they are doing their job. You take it down to teachers, people that are teaching our children. You know, they're doing their job. I consider them public servants as well. As an assistant district attorney, I've had 23 years of experience. I've had much more jury experience than either of my opponents. I believe I'm the most qualified candidate for this position. In the world that we are living in today, and if you ask any of the judges, they'll tell you that the most time that they spend in court is in criminal cases. You need somebody that knows what they're doing. You need somebody that is qualified. If you go on YouTube right now and you type in John Kennedy judicial hearings, it'll pull up hearings where our senator, John Kennedy, United States Senator, is in a Senate hearing, and they're questioning nominees from President Trump for the judicial bench. And the questions he asks are, have you ever tried a motion to suppress? Have you ever tried a motion in limine? Have you ever handled a Doe-Bear hearing? He's not asking what you're doing on the weekends. He's asking if you're qualified to hold the job. And these are people that are nominated by President Trump, who our senator is in lockstep with. So this is not some political charade. This is Senator Kennedy making sure that only qualified people are on the bench. And if you review all the candidates' experience and their background, and you vote just strictly on qualifications, I think you'll find that I am the most qualified candidate for Division F judge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salimi. Mr. Thibodeau, you have 3 minutes to summarize your candidacy.
Thank you, Tiger. If there's one thing we agree upon is that your next district judge should obviously be qualified from day one. I have the qualifications. I've done the hard work. I've represented that mother, again, in child support, child custody proceedings. I've represented that businessman. I've represented the widow whose estate of her husband is in dispute. I can tell you that not only have I represented these people in the courtroom in thousands of cases, but I've also done so on a counseling basis with them. Knowing that particular person who is ready to proceed in a criminal system where, again, they do not know what it is they are up against. To have a judge sitting on the bench who has had those life experiences, who has had that legal experience, is invaluable. That judge needs to be a judge who can handle all matters from day one. I am ready to serve as your judge. For the past 30 years, again, I've represented clients from all walks of life. I've represented the people in this legal system. I want to be your judge, the people's judge, representing everyone who comes before me with fairness, with compassion, and, of course, experience. A litigant does not have a second chance. A judge stands between you and justice. You must be able to count on that judge from day one, when he or she takes office, to be able to handle each and every matter which comes before he or she. I am ready to do so. I not only humbly ask for your vote and support, but I also, too, ask for your prayers. Our family members go through a lot. As political candidates, there's a lot of things that we go through day in and day out. I know each and every one of you, each and every one of our family members deserves a big hand. I want to thank each and every one of you also for, again, helping us through this process. I want to help, again, serve as your judge. I please, humbly, once again, ask for your vote and support come November 3rd. And of course, within early elections, beginning as early as October 16th. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. All right, that brings us to a close for tonight. I want to thank the candidates, and I ask that you stay and meet with them after the forum.